Another nice day with more, I guess, color variety with the trees and plants now, huh? And with that in mind, what did I read today? I thought this was kind of interesting with that new restriction in Canada with things like micro drones around advertised events and so forth. Are the police taking advantage of that and saying, okay, I guess we'll fly it more now? This one here says, VicPD to start using drone for some public events and unfolding emergency situations. The Victoria Police Department says it will start using a drone referred to as a remotely piloted aircraft system to help monitor large community events and to respond to unfolding emergency situations as needed. Police say the new drone will help officers glean real-time insights on emergency situations and will help enhance public safety during some special events, large protests or rallies or other public safety incidents. So that kind of matches the theme again, take away the rights from the average person per se. Now all of a sudden an official is coming in, huh? It says the drones will be controlled by VicPD members who are certified Transport Canada drone pilots, and police add that the drones does not record at all times by default. If recordings need to take place to gather evidence or capture an incident, the public will be notified and that data will be stored for 30 days or longer, said VicPD in a release Thursday. No information is collected during an event unless a criminal investigation or public disorder incident occurs. Victoria Police Chief Dale Mannix says the new surveillance tool comes as police attend to a growing number of demonstrations each year. The RPAS is the next step in our strategic plan of supporting community safety, preventing crime, and contributing to community vibrancy, said the police chief. Yeah, again, that's kind of expected in many ways, huh? Say it's too dangerous for these groups of people to use it when there was no crazy accidents or anything like that. It was police crashing into manned aircraft, and now they can use it more freely, huh? It just keeps going with that theme, and it's not a coincidence in my opinion. As well, it makes me think too, especially in Victoria, do you see how many different flight paths there are with seaplanes and stuff going there all the time? So all of a sudden, I guess it's okay for them to just throw it up in the air and say, okay, everything is safe, whether it's around people and so forth or the airplanes and all that. Although the other thing I would be worried about, like that story the other day where there was accusations that police officers were taking down, let's just say, quote, independent media, just filming the situation and all that. How about now? Can you imagine if that actually happened during the past couple of years when there were all those massive protests and stuff here in Canada in so many places, and you couldn't have, let's just say, regular average individual capture the scenes to see what's going on, or let's just say independent media, and it's restricted to police officers or whoever else they wish to be able to capture it? That'd be crazy, isn't it? I mean, you can't say just because you use it then magically all that stuff that you say, nope, it's too dangerous and every single way can go crazy. You can't say that can't happen in your case too, which it has happened in those other cases with the police crashing into manned aircraft, except in those cases it looked like it was manual errors, like people actually flying right into them for whatever reason. But in general, it follows a theme. Say it's too dangerous for these people, take it away even though they've done nothing, and then now look at this. They enter saying, yep, we can use it and it's safe all of a sudden. Although with that thought, with people flying drones, again, there's a lot of places where they want to try to find ways to take down drones. How about this one? This one says, UK unleashes drone-zapping microwave weapon amid defense tech drive. As it says here, the British Army has successfully neutralized swarms of drones in a trial of RapidDestroyer, a new kind of weapon that uses high-frequency microwave to disable critical electronic components in unmanned aerial vehicles, causing them to crash. The Army said it took down 2 swarms of 8 drones during a single test at a site in West Wales. During the entire trial period, the weapon was used to track, engage, and defeat more than 100 drones. RapidDestroyer could be deployed in war zones across the world, including Ukraine, where drones have become ubiquitous on the battlefield. The UK's Defense Intelligence Agency estimates that Ukraine had to defend against attacks from more than 18,000 Russian drones last year. With improvements on range and power which could come with further development, this would be a great asset to layered air defense, said Sergeant Mayers, who became the first British soldier to bring down drones using a radio frequency weapon. While still under development, the weapon could provide a cheaper alternative to missile-based defense systems for specific applications like taking down large swarm of drones. Yeah, you could imagine that'd be a lot more effective than launching million-dollar missiles against, I don't know, some drone that costs maybe $1,000. And this was big news today, where apparently it actually relates to something that happened here actually. But in the UK, they had, like they say here, a landmark ruling. UK's top court says legal definition of woman refers to biological sex. As you know, in a lot of places, there's been so much controversy about genders and so forth. If somebody, for example, says they're all of a sudden, let's just say, a man or a woman, even though they're not biologically born that way, do they still count as, let's just say, that gender? Well, this one rules. It's apparently determined that if you are biologically born as, let's just say, one gender, then you will be known as that. It says Britain's highest court ruled on Wednesday that only biological and not trans women meet the definition of a woman under equality laws, a landmark decision greeted with concern by trans supporters but welcomed by the government as bringing clarity. The much anticipated ruling centered on whether a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate, a formal document giving legal recognition of someone's new gender, is protected from discrimination as a woman under Britain's Equality Act. Well, that was actually a thing over there. That's news to me. And it says the decision confirms that single-sex services for women such as refugees, hospital wards, and sports can exclude trans women, clearing up legal ambiguity. Transgender campaigners said the decision could lead to discrimination, especially over employment issues, saying, quote, "The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex." So that's interesting, as this has been a topic in so many places, especially with things like sports. Now, why this was interesting is apparently here, as you know, there's going to be an election soon, and there was a leaders debate that was in French the other day. And for the person, Mark Carney, he was asked a question about genders, and he seemed really nervous and hesitant in terms of answering, because he wanted to try to answer it in a way that doesn't, let's just say, quote, offend one group or another. So you can see it here.
How many genders are there?
In terms of sex, there are 2. Thank you.
My follow-up question then, do you believe that women, biological women, have the right to their own spaces, their own sports, their own change rooms, their own prisons, their own homeless shelters?
I think this is Canada, and that as a general objective, yes. But we work in where we value all Canadians for who they are, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, merci.
Okay.
So that won't look good in the long run, in my opinion. And on a side note, it seemed like with this French debate, there was huge controversy in terms of media outlets, I guess, disputing with each other, saying this or that person isn't media, so they shouldn't be allowed in here.
Well, I want to make sure the guys filming it over here get a good audio. So, do you hear me okay?
I have a lavalier
Am I
mic.
enunciating properly?
Do you want to put a lavalier mic on and then I can hear
Do
you?
you have one set up? You got the levels ready for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're clearly not doing any actual journalism.
Really?
Why, when you guys started gaming the rules and threatening to sue because you didn't get your way, I assumed the rules were out the window. Most of us didn't get a question. And what I really don't enjoy is that everyone else here was being respectful, following the rules, just being considerate to everyone else. And what you guys decided to do was to take advantage, threaten to sue, so that you could try to get more than everyone else. And now, nobody likes you.
The CBC and Radio Canada had 4 questions and we had 4 questions. Why are you lying? We had the same number as the
You guys
CBC.
threatened to sue, so that you can, that's why they got the 4 questions. Here's the thing. I can do the job of one of me can do the same job you clearly need 5 reporters to do. So am I the disgrace, or is it all of the people you needed to do the job I do by myself?
You just got to control your emotions.
That actually makes me think about point 2 in regards to, let's just say, those media sources arguing with each other, saying who should actually be allowed to ask questions and all that. And the topic of whether or not taxpayers should fund, let's just say, something like the CBC still, even though by the sounds of it, they can't sustain themselves on their own financially. I think the only big advantage for a lot of the big media sources nowadays is, let's just say, that quote, media credentials of sort to have access to stuff like that, correct? Because I could imagine if they don't have that unique ability to be the only ones to, let's just say, report on it, and you open it up to any other independent media and so forth, they would kind of lose any type of competitive advantage in all that. Wouldn't that be better too in general to have open access, just to avoid the potential where only the people that are going to favor, like in this case, one party or another or a certain narrative are the only ones that can quote, I guess you could say, report on the news. I'd rather hear from all different perspectives in general. All right, see you guys later.